What I recognized then, and having been an infantryman myself, was we were fighting two very different wars. I started in Afghanistan from 2008 to 2011 with Marine Special Operations and later as a CIA paramilitary officer. And I served exclusively as an advisor to Afghan units. So my war buddies were Afghans. When I worked at CIA, I was on a mission to go after a top 10 al-Qaeda target along with a number of SEALs who were attached with us. And it was actually a mission we were successful in prosecuting. And I remember, I mentioned this in the book, how that morning, very early that morning, we'd exfiltrate out of this valley that we'd been very deep up inside. We captured our target, and the plan was that we would go to this one army base. And from that army base, we would transfer the target to the US military, who would be in charge of detaining him. And been a long night, hard work. Project, the mission had gone off well, and we were in a good mood. We were sort of laughing and talking amongst ourselves. And I remember seeing the Grunts, the Army infantry soldiers, kind of walking by and frankly kind of giving us dirty looks. And what I recognized then, and having been an infantryman myself, was we were fighting two very different wars. There was a special operations war going on. That was this counterterrorism war. But then there was the war that these soldiers were fighting. And that was a war that was a counterinsurgency that was grinding on, month after month, year after year, where the victories were not as clear and oftentimes entirely elusive. And it led me sort of to this conclusion that there were two wars always going on inside Afghanistan: a counterterrorism war and an insurgency. And I think you can make an argument, as we sit here 20 years out from the September 11th attacks, or 21 years out from September 11th attacks. I think if someone had told you on September 12th, 2001, that for 21 years the United States would not be subject to a major terrorist attack, that would have sounded like a pretty amazing victory. I think you could even go so far as to say, in that respect, the United States has won the global war on terrorism, but we lost the war in Afghanistan. So how is it possible to win the war on terrorism yet lose the war in Afghanistan? And I would argue that possibility exists in the scene that I described, in which you can have a group of, counterterrorism commandos happily having captured their target, while there's a group of soldiers who are out there every day grinding out a counterinsurgency mission that's failing. And I think that sort of summarizes the end game in Afghanistan.